Hello everyone, my name's Carolyn Kidd and I'm the niece of Alan Mansell, who was a former Sunday school teacher at St Paul's Church in the 1940s, but more of Uncle Alan later. I'm currently overseas, hence me not being here in person tonight, but I'd like to thank the Council for giving me this opportunity to speak about St Paul's at your meeting. I feel very strongly about St Paul's Church, which might seem strange, given I don't have a personal connection per se to the church, but I did live in Bankstown in 1970 and I went to Bankstown Public School. My mother's family, however, had a very strong connection to both Bankstown and St Paul's. From the 1920s through to the 1950s, they lived in firstly Rickard Road, just around the corner from St Paul's, and then at 98 Marion Street on the other side of the railway. My grandfather, Lewis Mansell, was Deputy Town Clerk of Bankstown Council, and my grandmother, Nina Merle Mansell, was a devoted churchgoer, and she donated a baptismal font ua and a chrome font bowl to St Paul's. She also insisted my mother and Uncle Alan attend 5 services at St Paul's each and every Sunday. Uncle Alan was able seaman Alan Richard Mansell, and you may be aware there's a memorial sanctuary chair in his honour in the altar of St Paul's with an accompanying memorial plaque which reads, "To the glory of God and in cherished memory of Alan Richard Mansell, who succumbed to injuries received in enemy action on HMAS Australia on 21 October 1944, a scholar, Sunday school teacher and communicant of this church." This chair is the gift of his comrades and fellow members of the church. The sanctuary chair, also known as the Bishop's Chair, was authorised on 17 December 1945, just over a year after Alan's death, by the then Archbishop of Sydney, Howard Mall. Quite an extraordinary honour, I'm sure you'll agree. I'm not sure how long he was the Sunday school teacher at St Paul's, but to have been posthumously gifted a Bishop's Chair shows just how deeply loved and respected he was by his fellow parishioners and comrades. Uncle Alan was just 21 years old when he was killed by a Japanese kamikaze pilot while keeping watch on the bridge of HMAS Australia. He was buried at sea along with 28 of his Navy comrades who also lost their lives that day. Alan's name is on the honour roll at the Australian War Memorial, and he was remembered in an extremely moving last post ceremony in 2019. And this ceremony can be viewed on YouTube if anyone is interested in learning more about his life. My mother didn't speak much about her beloved brother when I was growing up. I think his horrific death was just too painful for her. But his childhood teddy bear became one of her most treasured possessions. When my mother died, Uncle Alan, as I affectionately named him, came to live with me. Uncle Alan is now 101 years old. I recently had him repaired and restored, so he'll be around in another 100 years, as I hope St Paul's Church will be. Of course, my uncle's story is just one of many poignant stories that line the walls and fabric of St Paul's. Sure, a church can be rebuilt with new bricks and furnishings, but the memories within these walls that have been created over the past 100 plus years can't be replaced. And once they're gone forever. I live in Canberra now, but on a recent visit to Sydney, I spent a very enjoyable couple of hours walking around the streets of Bankstown with somewhat fresh eyes. And I liked what I saw. A bustling multicultural community, green spaces, a vibrant arts centre, the Brian Brown Theatre, and some striking modern architecture, giving the impression of a suburb that seems to have found and accepted its identity. There's certainly been an enormous amount of development in Bankstown over the years, and as a consequence, there's a range of medium and high-density dwellings and related infrastructure dominating the skyline. And while I appreciate this is a necessary part of meeting the needs of a growing community, so too is holding on to treasured historical buildings that connect us to our past. St Paul's Church is not just an iconic place of worship. It's been a spiritual home built by the community brick by brick, and that's so obvious when you look at all the memorial plaques on the walls and in the garden beds. Its rich history and its social significance across the last century cannot be overstated. I really feel we have a responsibility for future generations to keep the history of St Paul's Church alive. Please pause for a moment before you make your final decision. Thank you for listening.